This week on Stakelbeck on Terror, first we took you to Samaria. Now we're in Judea, the other half of Israel's biblical heartland. We visit the ancient city of Hebron, burial place of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Israeli minister Yuli Edelstein joins us to discuss the importance of Judea and Samaria to Israel's heritage and its security.
Without our total control here in these areas, I think we wouldn't be able even to run a normal country here.
Plus, a media expert joins us to discuss what Mahmoud Abbas really wants with a Palestinian state. From the biblical heartland of Judea, let's go to work. And welcome to Stakelbeck on Terror. Well, in past episodes, we've showed you Israel's biblical heartland of Samaria. This week, we're in the other half of that heartland, Judea. Now, this is also considered the West Bank by the so-called international community, and they, including the Obama administration, are pressuring Israel to disband these thriving Jewish communities and give the land away to the Palestinians. Now, this is madness on many levels, including from a security perspective, as Israeli Cabinet Minister Yuli Edelstein will tell us a bit later in the show. But from a biblical perspective, Judea is an irreplaceable part of the land and people of Israel. It is the burial place of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the matriarchs Sarah, Rebekah, and Leah. It was also the city where King David ruled before he moved his kingdom to Jerusalem. Sounds like a pretty Israeli kind of place to me. Still, Hebron is now overwhelmingly Arab, and Hamas even held a march there in late 2012. But the small Jewish population in Hebron remains, despite being a constant target of Palestinian terrorism and world pressure. They are standing strong in the city of their forefathers. I recently spent time with the spokesman of Hebron's Jewish community at the Cave of the Patriarchs, also known as the Cave of Machpelah. Take a look. This is the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Rebekah, Sarah, Leah, the patriarchs, the matriarchs of the land of Israel, of the Bible, they're all buried here. This is the biblical heartland. This is where King David, before he ruled in Jerusalem, he ruled from Hebron for 7 years, and there's still a thriving Jewish community here.
This site, the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs, we call this Machpelah in Hebrew, is actually the beginning of the Jewish people here. It's not only the beginning of the Jewish people, it's the roots of all monotheism. Anybody that believes in one God, this is where Abraham lived, and this is where Abraham and Sarah are buried. This site is considered to be the second holiest site to the Jewish people in all the world, second only to Temple Mount in Jerusalem. And you know, for 700 years, for 7 centuries, we had no access to this site. And one of the reasons that we live in Hebron today is to make sure that anybody and everybody of any religion, any faith, any people should be able to come and visit and identify with this holy site. You know, many times people ask me about the difficulties of life here, the challenges that we have to deal with here. And my first response is always that for 2,000 years we've been faced with challenges. For 2,000 years we were persecuted in the diaspora. Today we're here. And as long as I'm here, whatever challenge I have in front of me, I can deal with, and I can eventually overcome. And I can overcome because, you know, we have a divine spirit with us, okay? God is with us. We know that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. There are many people that don't want us here. We have to deal with the European Union. There are people in the United States. I think the man in the White House thinks that this is a Palestinian city. And we shouldn't be here because we are disturbing the chances for peace in the Middle East. And you want to know something? He's right. But I spell peace differently. I spell peace P-E-A-C-E. They spell peace P-I-E-C, one piece and another piece and another piece. And this is one of the pieces they want, okay? As long as we're here, they won't get that. We face difficulties from anarchists from all around the world. There are leftists in Israel and around the world. There are security threats. There are security problems that we have to deal with here. During the Second Intifada, we were shot at for 2.5 years here. There are still terrorist attacks here. But we're able to overcome them, number one, because we have a lot of faith. We know that we're doing the right thing. And we know that this is our home. You cannot let terrorism determine how you live and where you live. If you know that this is your home and this is where you're supposed to be, what would be more normal for a Jew to live in the city of Hebron. You know, I once counted the number of Hebrons in North America. I think there's a Hebron, Kentucky, and a Hebron, Nebraska, and Hebron, Pennsylvania. If I wanted to buy a house in Hebron, Pennsylvania, and I was told that I couldn't because I was a Jew, it would make headlines about discrimination. So why can't I buy a house in the first Hebron? You know, but the challenges can all be overcome. We have overcome them, and that's why we're still here today.
You know, the structure that's built over the cave of Machpelah was built by Herod the Great and is over 2,000 years old. Just amazing to actually be there. Well, the community of Gush Etzion is also in Judea. It lies north of Hebron, closer to Jerusalem, and it's a peaceful, beautiful place. I had a chance to visit there with Israel's Minister of Public Diplomacy, Yuli Edelstein, to discuss Judea and Samaria and what these regions mean to him and to Israel. Take a look. Well, Minister Yuli Edelstein, welcome to Stakelbeck on Terror.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Gush Etzion and where you live and the communities in Judea and Samaria. To an American audience, they hear the term West Bank and they hear about these Israeli settlers, these wild-eyed Israeli settlers. Minister, tell us a little bit about Judea and Samaria and why they're so important to the Jewish people and why you need to be here.
Well, I guess traveling here for the last several hours, you've met already all these wild guys with long guns.
Dangerous.
Very dangerous, shooting Arabs every morning and eating them for breakfast. But on a more serious note, I think that when they ask me what is so special about this area, Gush Etzion, I have difficulty answering because the obvious answer is people. They're wonderful communities, wonderful Jewish communities, very mixed, religious, secular, newcomers, veteran Israelis, those who were, I mean, not them, their parents were expelled from here in the 48 and even some of them massacred, and those who met that wonderful area like myself for the first time after landing in Israel 25 years ago. And on the other hand, it's only a partial answer because history here is something incredible. I mean, I walk out from this house where we sit right now, and I basically go in the footsteps of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Literally, I mean, we don't have
to. It's all here.
Absolutely, we don't have to write history. We can live it here.
The Bible happened here.
The Bible really happened here, and the names of places are related to all kinds of stories. 200 yards away from here is the place probably where Boaz met Ruth, one of the fields near Bethlehem. So it's incredible cradle of the Jewish history and probably of the human history.
And the Jewish people have been here thousands of years.
Well, the things we are talking about right now is already 3,000 years back. And the third component I would add, which is irrelevant probably without the previous one, is that when you stand here, you basically control the whole country.
The strategic aspect.
The strategic
Talk about that a bit, Minister,
absolutely,
if you can.
So
from a national security perspective.
For those who have just heard our conversation about what happened in the south, can just imagine that if, God forbid, Palestinian terrorists, Hamas terrorists would be standing here, they would be basically in total control. And they won't need long-range missiles. They could reach basically to every town and city in this area with all kinds of hand grenades, basically. And I think that for us, the strategic aspect of Gush Etzion is very important. In the words of the first Israeli leader, David Ben-Gurion, after the proclamation of independence of Israel, he said that the Battle of Gush Etzion, there was a very heavy battle here back in 48. He said that battle and the defenders of Gush Etzion enabled us to proclaim Israeli independence. And I know that strategically many things changed in modern war, but on the other hand, without our total control here in these areas, I think we won't be able even to run a normal country here.
I think the key thing too, Minister, is for people to actually come out here and come to communities like Gush Etzion, spend some time here and see what it's all about. I think people in the West will be pleasantly surprised because they get one version in the media, unfortunately. You got to come here, you got to get on the ground. Well, you're a fighter from going way back, Minister, so it's not surprising that you'd come to Gush Etzion, you'd lay down roots here. You're a fighter from your days as a refusnik in the Soviet Union, and we've spoken to you about your past before. For maybe people who missed the first time we interviewed you, talk a bit about what brought you to Israel and why it means so much for you to be here.
Well, I really come from a very problematic in the Jewish sense of the word background, because I was raised in the Soviet Union and Khrushchev and Brezhnev era, knowing basically nothing about anything Jewish. You could sell all kinds of stories to me. Sometimes I say that if someone would have explained to me that the Yom Kippur War in '73 was called Yom Kippur War because the chief of staff of the Israeli army was Yom Kippur, I could probably buy it, because we didn't have any ideas about
the atheistic Soviet Union.
Absolutely, and thank God I was able to find my roots and to learn some Hebrew, to start teaching others Hebrew in the underground in Moscow. Less fortunately, when I was a refusnik, meaning that I applied for an exit visa and my application was denied, I was arrested for all these activities and spent 3 years in the Gulag. And I was released already under the Gorbachev era, the so-called perestroika, one of the last actually prisoners of conscience released, and moved to Israel in 1987.
Coming up, more with Minister Yuli Edelstein. Stay tuned.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help!
If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
It's still very important for me to say to you that I accept your defining me as a fighter as a compliment, but still, we don't live fighting here. We live enjoying ourselves here. And yes, sometimes during Intifada, we did have to live as part of the reality, Molotov cocktails and stones. But it was for certain periods of time. Normally, we live good, normal life here with good education, with good neighbors. And even I would dare say that the neighboring Arab villages are more looking for cooperation and some income and not for another round of fights. So I guess when there will be finally some leadership in the Palestinian Authority, they would be able to stop the incitement and rather lead the people towards coexistence and peace.
The ball is in their court.
It's
been in their court for years and years and years.
I think that even during the last term, it's so absurd that Prime Minister Netanyahu, the so-called right-wing nationalistic government in Israel, has been saying all the time, please come, please negotiate, let's sit down, let's start negotiating. But the Palestinians have always been demanding the price for the very sitting down around the table, which is really absurd. And I sincerely hope that we'll be able to finally explain to our friends all around the world, I'm not talking about Iran or Saudi Arabia, but to our friends around the world, we'll be able to explain that there are those who are looking for peace. It's not, by the way, I'm not naive. I don't think that the moment we sit down, we shake hands and write comprehensive peace agreements. But on the other hand, I think that we've been looking for ways to peaceful coexistence for years and years. The other side, unfortunately, prefers the path of terrorism that wouldn't lead them anywhere, because Israel is strong. And look, if we're talking about what happened in 65 years since the so-called division plan in the United Nations, look where Israel is and look where the Arab countries are. I think it's the answer to which way is better.
What can Americans do to stand with Israel and to support Israel?
I think if for a change there would be an attitude of really looking for an alternative, looking for people who are really part of the democratic process, trying to support them, trying to encourage them. Once again, I'm not saying that it's an easy solution. I'm not trying to say that the United States or European Union can bring some kind of marionette to the country and like a puppet on a string rule it there. But there are normal people, there are positive forces. It doesn't necessarily have to be some Salafist party. And I think that if we are talking about this kind of a contribution, it could be very important to the region, because if the bad guys can do it to Israel as a democracy and can turn us into demons and apartheid and fascists and you name it, basically they can do it to every democracy, United States included. I think that it's high time for the world to wake up and say, no, let's call a spade a spade. Let's once again say that there are good things and bad things in this world, and we should be on the side of good things.
Yeah, and I think, Minister, it's very black and white what's going on here. And Israel is on the side of good, and Israel is the first line of defense for Western civilization, in my view.
That's my view.
Yeah, Minister Edelstein, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks for being here. Up next, what do Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Authority really think of Israel? You're going to want to see this. Don't move.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
And welcome back. Well, we're told by the U.S. government and Europe that Mahmoud Abbas's Palestinian Authority is Israel's partner for peace. So, are they? If Israel would give land to Abbas and the PA, would the PA be good and tolerant stewards of Judea and Samaria? Would they coexist peacefully with their Jewish neighbors? I recently sat down with Itamar Marcus, director of Palestinian Media Watch and author of the book Deception, for the truth about the moderate Palestinian Authority. Take a look. So we're told that Mahmoud Abbas is the partner for peace for Israel. Tell us in your investigations what your organization has found as of late coming out of official Palestinian media.
There is no resemblance between what Mahmoud Abbas is telling people in Washington, what he's telling the media, and what he's really telling his own people. When you talk about Palestinian television, and you're correct, it is completely controlled by the Palestinian Authority. It's run from his office. And you look at the children's programs on Palestinian TV, and you have, for example, a very sweet, long-haired, 11, 12-year-old girl reading a poem on television. And that includes the words, "My enemy is Zion, is Satan with a tail." Now, this is a children's program. Why is that included in the messages to kids? That same program a few weeks later had children sitting around, and again, a young girl, probably 11, 12 years old, is reading a poem. And this time, it's attacking not just Jews, it's attacking Christians as well. Yeah. Islam, Muslim.
We're in this together. In their eyes, we are a common foe,
right.
Christians and Jews, and people need to recognize that.
And what's the message in this poem that this girl is reciting by heart? Is that the Muslims are greater than Jews and Christians. The Christians and the Jews are inferior, despised. This is a young children's program on official Palestinian television, and they're teaching them Islamist ideology, Islamic supremacy. It ends with Muslims of the world awaken.
Now, you wrote a book called Deception, which is a must-read that everyone needs to pick up. Amazon.com, wherever books are sold, pick it up. And it was such an expose and such an eye-opener about what Abbas is really all about and his true agenda. Tell us a little bit more about this book.
They started having peace talks again, Israel and the Palestinian Authority. First there were proximity talks, then there was a month of talks. And we said, let's see if there are any changes in the Palestinian Authority actually during peace talks. So we started following everything in incredible detail. And what we found is that nothing changed. Hatred continued. The deception continued. They were coming to the West, to the United States, and talking peace, and to their own people. You mentioned, for example, recognition. Recognition of Israel was the reason that there is a so-called peace process, was the reason that Israel signed with the PLO years ago. PLO said, we've decided to erase our dream of destroying Israel. We recognize you. And now let's go on to discuss borders. Well, if you listen to the Palestinian internal world, there is no recognition of Israel, and there's no recognition, and absolutely no recognition of Israel's right to exist. There are dozens of songs where Palestinians are singing about not Ramallah and not Jenin. They're singing about Haifa and Yaffo and Jerusalem as well. And this is intentional.
These are Palestinian children singing these songs too, being weaned on these songs.
Exactly. People over 50. 55% recognize Israel's right to exist. Those are the people who grew up under Israel. The youth, aged 18 to 25, 6.3 recognize Israel's right to exist. All of these songs, all the education, everything Palestinian Media Watch has been warning about all these years has created a generation of Palestinian youth who will never, ever make peace with Israel for long term.
Tell us why this Palestinian statehood bid at the UN by Mahmoud Abbas, why is that so dangerous for Israel?
The Palestinian Authority, with this statehood bid, is saying now that the borders or the ceasefire lines of 1949 through 1967 are now internationally recognized as a Palestinian state, meaning all of Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, and Jerusalem, including Old City, including the Western Wall, are part of a Palestinian state.
The biblical heartland, basically.
That's right, the biblical heartland. And therefore, they're going to argue, as they've been arguing all along, that killing anyone, any Israeli, any Jew who might be walking in Jerusalem, and any of the 250,000 Jews who live in Jerusalem that's expanded since the Six-Day War, you are legitimate targets because you're occupiers. That is why it's dangerous, because they're going to go to the world and they're going to say, we did nothing wrong. These are occupiers, and we have a right to liberate our land.
Well, we know you're going to be sounding the alarm at Palestinian Media Watch with your book, Deception. You're testifying before Congress in the States. Itamar Marcus, keep it up. Thanks so much. You're a true watchman on the wall for Israel and America. Up next. More from the ancient city of Hebron. Stay tuned.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast that it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window, yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison and shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Welcome back. You know, it was such an honor to walk in Hebron and get to know some of the leaders there. Here's more from the city of the patriarchs from our friend David Wilder.
In Israel, there are a lot of walls. The stairs that we have here in the middle are unique. These are stairs that are over 4,000 years old. They led from the valley, going up into the ancient city of Hebron. And these were found as you see them. Nobody put them back together again. Anybody that believes in one God, they started here, okay? And that's where we all have a common denominator. We can shoot off different directions, different times, but this is where we started, all of us, you know? And to say, after 4,000 years, this is where our roots are, and this is where we still are today, and when people say to me, you know, well, maybe you shouldn't be here, so I say, you know, what happens if you take a tree and you cut off the roots? What happens, okay? We know what happens. And that's what we're doing here, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're going to stay here. But this is how we start. We start at the beginning. We start with Abraham, here, caves of Machpelah, Tel Hebron.
They are some brave and godly people. Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Stakelbeck on Terror show from Judea. Until next week, take care, and God bless.